Thought you were going to be on the other side. Thank you so much.
Let's get up for Sean for doing a great job emceeing today. Thank you, Sean. Well, for those that are still viewing online, those of you still here in the room, grateful, really grateful for you being here today. We've had a fantastic day, I think a day of learning. I said this morning when we start that it was going to be a day of learning, a journey of exploration, a day when we should be curious and keep thinking about how to do things differently and better, an opportunity for maybe to be humble, to say, hey, maybe the things that we've done somewhat unconsciously, or we've done it without understanding the data. And I think between our three keynote speakers today, we've really been challenged to think more deeply about the decisions that we're making around smart, efficient infrastructure and the impact that can have not just tomorrow, but on future generations. I want to pull back what some highlights were for me from our speakers today. I think that one takeaway that I took from Chuck Marone this morning was that, and Joe touched on this at the end, but the asset is not the road. The asset is the tax base adjacent to the road. And so the decisions that we make about roads, if we get the streets right, we get the roads right, that can help be that positive spiral that cycles up more and more incremental growth, more incremental wealth in the community. And when I say wealth, meaning prosperity in the sense that we can have lower property taxes, we can attract the workforce, all the things we want to do. Justin was the first time I'd heard Justin. I thought his presentation, like the other two, was just fantastic. I certainly think that Tristan lived up to the happy cities. I mean, what a great, have you seen a happier keynoter than Tristan? Certainly living up to the happy cities. And again, if you haven't read that book, by Happy Cities, it would be a good one to pick up and read. But he gave us a challenge about creating critical mass. And critical mass doesn't have to be the whole city. Critical mass can be one block at a time. I think there's actually a national website called, Building Better Blocks, or the Better Block Group, where they give people ideas about how do you pick one spot on your main street and try to make it better. So it really is this block by block approach. And one of the powerful examples that he gave was the city that instead of spreading their assets around even the whole area of downtown, they put $10 million of development into one small area, and then that just became the critical mass, which then spawned more and more amazing development by concentrating that. So creating critical mass, block by block, and cultivating it. The last thing I thought from Tristan that was really worth us all remembering, again, this morning I challenged everybody when they leave today to have learned enough to, when you drive through our communities and when you drive down streets, to look with new eyes, to see the economics underneath the streets, the roads, and the patterns of developments that you see, and that understanding that as you're driving, you're not walking, and that in the experiments that they did, the social experiments in terms of people offering more help to strangers, or the biofeedback of people walking down a street, that all of us as humans, and he challenged us, design cities for one animal, that would be humans. He said, because humans don't just see a street, they feel it. And so when you go back to your communities, what are you doing to build the street that people will actually feel? We saw examples of that today in the award winners from around the state, the work that they're doing on their main streets to help build that community. With our final keynoter today, Joe, he kept apologizing. I want to collectively, at least on behalf of myself and my team and anybody that maybe others would join me, that we don't owe Joe doesn't owe apologies to us for sharing too much great data. That's a very classic sort of Midwestern thing to do, to apologize when you've done a bunch of hard work and analysis that hasn't been done before. But let's give it up one more time for Joe Minicozy for the work that he did. This is something we all should be able to do, which is think like farmers. Those of us that grew up in agriculture and agriculture families and spent their time working on farms, growing up, would understand that yield is the thing that we all think about. It's not just, hey, I had more bushels than you did. No, it's how many bushels per acre. It's a numerator and a denominator. All of us grew up with a numerator and denominator driving our thinking around yield. And what the proxy that Joe is using in all of his work is the assessed value per acre. And the reason he's using the acre on the bottom is that is an indicator of how much infrastructure goes in. Because if you've got more linear feet of everything, more linear feet of sewer and water and sidewalk and road and curb, if you've got more of that, if you've got more linear feet of road width, in addition to the length of the road miles, that creates more square feet. It also creates more distance for garbage trucks and snow plows and police and fire. And so it is a proxy, because he talked in all of his analysis about how we have patterns of development that don't pay for the road. We got to also talk about what goes down that road. Who's paying for the police and the fire station and the snowplow driver and the snow truck? Now, the cities that have had this pattern of development that have gone on way too long, and particularly when you get into large metropolitan areas, when we say what's the DNA and what you look at, large metropolitan areas with large police and fire departments with tremendous benefits, and we've all seen the movie 100 times about, you know, the buddy cops, and everybody, we all know cops get to retire in the buddy movies after 20 years because something bad happens in the last week right before they retire in those movies. You've seen those, right? Okay, yes, no? No? Okay, you guys are working too hard. Never watched a movie in your life. Never watched a buddy cop movie, apparently. But you know what I'm saying is they work for 20 years and then they get their retirement. And let's say it's 20 or 25. It's not 40 or 45. So if you have police and law enforcement in large metro areas that retire, start when they're early 20s and retire after 20, 25 years, then they draw a pension. The cities like Chicago and Boston and New York are paying more police retired, and they're paying for people that are currently on staff. That wasn't even talked about today. We're just acting like the city services are free. I mean, the largest employer in this city outside of the University or the North Dakota State University is the school district. The next largest, and well, we got Sanford in there but one of the other larger employers in the city is the city of Fargo. And so we have a lot of public employees that work to deliver services to all of us, you know, on these streets. So the further they have to go to do their job, for fire calls, garbage collection, whatever, that adds more cost, more time, and we need more of them. And so I remember the analysis that was done when Davies was built, it was done by a city commissioner, that it drove an additional 45 employees at the city of Fargo because of the addition of a fire station, 7 people times 3 shifts, 21 people, and then there was also more shifts added for police, and so I think there was another 24 police that added on. Well, those folks are all 5 years or 6 or 8 years into their career right now. They haven't retired yet, but when they retire, they have to be replaced. So again, I'm just saying, if you disagree with the data today, dig even further, because there's even more costs that haven't even been discussed today. And I'm not trying to, as Joe had the slide, to be depressing. I'm not trying to be that. I'm just trying to be realistic that we've got to make choices, because again, one of the things that Chuck said today was the older parts of town with the smaller lots, those areas that have smaller spaces, utilize less infrastructure, and have higher assessed values per acre, those parts of town, the downtowns and the older neighborhoods, are subsidizing the newer parts. That's happening all over our state. It's happening all over the country. You saw dozens of examples from Joe where old subsidizes new, but the other part that Chuck talked about is the future is subsidizing the present, because we are not putting away enough dollars to pay for the replacement cost. Don't even have enough dollars to pay for what we've already built, much less replace them. So we have to understand these things as we think about that. And so again, one of the challenges from Joe was about literacy. And I think we all, it's just interesting about math. I've observed in my lifetime where I've been at cocktail parties where people have said in groups, well, I'm not good at math, ha ha ha, I hated math, ha ha ha. You know, I was never good at math, math wasn't my thing. People say that, and I don't know if it's like some kind of pride or just like they're really comfortable talking about that. I've never seen anybody at a cocktail party go, oh, ha ha, you know, I can't read. He shared the slide today, the one with Einstein. You know, those that refuse to read is no different than those that can't read. We have the opportunity, we have the skills, we have the tools, we have the ability to get the data, we have the ability to map it. And you know, one of his challenges right here at the end is know your costs and map them, because again, we have to show graphically so that the citizens, the policymakers, the residents, everybody can understand the costs, not you know, ideology, not talk show comments. Let's actually have a discussion around data. Let's get the data in the room and get the ideology out. Because this isn't about where people want to live or how they want to live. It's about how do we pay for the cities that we have already built and want to build in the future, and how the design of our cities is going to allow us to be competitive in a world where workers will choose where they want to live based on the vibrancy of the city, based on the walkability of the city, based on the amenities of the city, based on the taxes in that city, based on the connections in that city. That's how they will make their decisions. And just because 100,000 people moved here doesn't mean that we're going to get 100,000 the next decade, because guess what? We just saw 20 examples of different cities around the country that are just killing it in building vibrant communities that young people would want to move to. You may say to yourself, well, I'm not planning on moving. My roots are here. My grandparents are here. I got a house here. What about the 45,000 ND across our city? We have 45,000 students in our university system across 11 campuses. That doesn't include the 2 private ones in our state. 45,000. Okay, where are they going to live? Are they going to live here, or are they going to go someplace else that's building communities for people versus building cities for cars? And so this is the infrastructure discussion. It really is about our future and the direction of the state. We also saw delightfully that I think Joe blew it up at the end, which is this doesn't have to be about big, large mega projects with $10 million price tags. It doesn't even have to be like the cool stuff that happened on Cheyenne down here in West Fargo, that if you didn't see last night, you can drive by it and see the highest spire in the West Fargo GIS map is the work on 3 buildings on Cheyenne, which is just the start of rebuilding a really cool downtown walkable area in West Fargo. The work will continue. We heard last night about the additional projects that may come on the other side of the street and other places. But we saw right here, I mean, I think the slide that Joe just pulled up today on 8th Street and Broadway of those, you know, cute little super small 1-story wooden little shops that are right there where 8th Street runs into Main Avenue, not Broadway, but 8th Street and Main Avenue. That's in the slide deck. It'll go everywhere across the whole country to show that that big productivity can come in really small packages, and it doesn't even have to be new. It can be old to drive the kind of yield that if we're trying to be farmers of our city and utilize our infrastructure, that we can do that. So in the end, I think that if the challenges from all 3 of these folks today, you know, was maybe Joe was summing it up, that we've all got to become geo-accountants. And maybe people said, hey, I didn't come to this thing. I came because I care about cities. I didn't come here to go to math class. I didn't come here to become an accountant. But if not you, somebody on your team, if you're elected, you've got people that work for you, we have to start doing the work to really understand this. I know it'd be really easy for people to be defensive after a day like today, because there was rah-rah, there was inspiration, but we're challenging ourselves. And we have to be open to this. To grow and to have a growth mindset, you have to view the idea that new ideas that challenge your thinking are positive for you as a human, and they're positive for us as a community, and they're positive for us as a state, because that's how we grow. People that want to reject new thinking and have a closed mindset versus a growth mindset in a world that's changing as fast as ours, I think the map's pretty clear where that happens. So again, for those of you that are here, I count you among the open-minded. You're still here. I count you among the dedicated that are super interested in trying to build a better future for our state. And for that, I just want to say, you know, we've got the 3 principles, which we have talked about during the day today. The 3 principles, you care about them, you care about vibrant cities, you care about smart, efficient infrastructure, and you obviously care about workforce. But for all of you, I want to close again with gratitude, because you're the core group. This is the group that has a chance to make a difference. We started today with a challenge for all of you to take one thing. Maybe you've got 10 that's okay, but pick the most important one of that, and then make sure that you did it. Do the thing that you say you're going to do. Take action on the one step that is your takeaway from this thing, that I'm going to definitely tomorrow, tonight, I'm going to call somebody, I'm going to text somebody, I'm going to read an article, I'm going to buy a book, I'm going to commit to this, I'm going to figure out who's going to do the mapping for our community. I'm going to hire Joe Minicozzi's team to do the mapping for our community, because I want our community to figure out what Castleton and Kindred have and West Fargo has. Whatever it is, take your action item and do it. We will send you, if you're registered, we'll send you the reminder email in a week for that action. There was nearly 900 people that were attending at one point or another today. If everybody 900 takes that one action, we're going to start moving forward towards a better future. So thank you for being part of the solution. Thanks for listening. Thanks to the entire Commerce team. Thanks to the West Fargo Park District. Thanks for all of our keynoters. Thanks to our award winners. Thanks to Lindsay. That's really hard work, what she does, by the way. And now we're going to say Lindsay. And now, for her final, Lindsay will sign, Doug Burgum talks too fast. Okay, that's what it looks like. Okay, all right, thank you. Have a fantastic day. Thank you for being here.